All right, y'all. Welcome back. This your boy Jay back in the building with another video for y'all. So today, I would definitely want to talk about emergency funds. We was talking about savings and things like that. But first, I want you all to get to that first $1,000 to make your life a lot more simple. Because at first, going through hard times, say if your car AC go out, tire break, flat tire, anything like that, guess what? You're searching, running around like, what am I going to do? Because guess what? I've definitely been there. I believe a lot of us have been there. But the goal is to remove from that spot and elevate up. And the way you're gonna do that is definitely by putting that emergency fund to the side. So like I said, save up that first 500, get to that $1,000 because if anything go wrong, that tire costs $200. You don't want to be looking for that $200 and where you gonna get that 200 from. That's why I'm here today to help y'all to not be on edge every time something small comes up. You're like, oh, where am I gonna get the money? Oh, this can't do this. I can't do that. Stop worrying. Stop worrying about everything. And that's one thing I always tell people: if you're gonna worry, don't pray. If you're gonna pray, don't worry. So what I want to help y'all do is definitely save up that money. You ain't gotta worry about it. So that $1,000, even if it's just 500 to the side, and you're gonna need 200 for that tire, guess what? You're not gonna panic. Keep your stress levels low. That's real good for your health. So you could go into that, use that $200. But the real goal for like emergency funds is what? 3 to 6 months expenses. So to say your bills is 2,000 a month. That's including rent, food, water, things like that. Your goal is to save at least 3 to 6 months of that. So 3 months will definitely be $6,000. But I do not want to make this like out of reach for y'all, make it seem like it's hard. But for those that can do it, 3 to 6 months put aside, not just in the bank, but a high yield savings account. We talked about that as well. You want your money to be gaining interest. You don't want the money just sitting there and not doing nothing. Like I said, a dollar that's not working is mean you working, whatever it is like that. But you want your money to be working for you. So don't just leave it sitting in an account. It gotta be working. It gotta be doing something that's gonna generate more money. The whole goal why we work is just so we can put our money to work. And that's my saying behind the whole thing. You definitely want your money working for you because you're not trying to trade your time for money forever in the rest of your life. So to definitely keep this in reach for y'all, I definitely want to start it off at $5 to $1,000. And many things you could do I mentioned in the last video. I'm gonna leave that down in the description right here. But like many things you could do is definitely cut back on expenses. Main thing people say they can't save money, but it's really because you're so busy spending in all of it. And you don't never put nothing to the side. And the easy way to put something to the side is what? Automate. Please automate. Automate $20 to your own bank account every time you get paid. $40, $50. That way it's out of sight, out of mind, and that will slowly help build that emergency fund. But if you're not doing that, guess what? And you got automatic payments coming out of your account, but you don't got automatic savings going into a savings account. Yeah, it's gonna wipe the well clean, dry, gone, just like that. And that's why you just got it's all about preparation and structure. Where you structure your life out, it's definitely gonna make it easy in the long term. But if you don't got no structure to it, guess what? You randomize, you rolling with the waves, and guess what? If that huge tide come and boom, wipe you away, now you're panicking. You don't want that. But if we got some in structure, got some plan, and say, okay, we got this $1,000 here or 2,000, whatever, 3 months expenses, 6 months expenses, but the more expenses you got to the side for the emergency fund, the less you really got to worry about. That means you could go on, if you got extra $1,000, you could go on a trip and not worry about nothing. Got that emergency fund. That's only for emergencies though. Like if you happen to need it, it's not saying oh, I'm gonna go on a trip and I'm gonna just use my emergency fund for this time being because that's not the purpose of the emergency fund. That's if you really don't have the money. I mean, like I'm strapped for cash. I ain't got it. I just had something happen and had to spend it. Or something else going on in your life. You're like, you know what? It's an emergency. I got to get to a family funeral out of town or family event function. I got to catch a flight. You don't have the money. Okay, let's use that a little bit probably for something like that. But it's at the end of the day, it's all up to your like preference. Because like I said, emergency fund, some people look at it only for bills for the house. This is what you live off of. The traveling and stuff like that is not one of those things. You could have a separate fund from that, but emergency, let's stick with house expenses only. This is what it's going to cost me to live per month. So I'm going to save up 2 months or try to get to a month or two so if something happens, you always got that money sitting there. But the reason why I also say the high yield savings account because you're not using this money on a regular. You're only using it for emergency. So if that money going to be sitting in the account doing nothing until you really have an emergency, you want that money to be growing from you. Because the regular bank account giving you what, 0.001% on your like money, and that's not no money. So at least if you could get a dollar or two per $100 you got in the account, which is probably still kind of unrealistic. But any extra money you could get versus a regular bank account, it's going to be better overall. But if you all ain't noticed by now, the whole purpose of this is to create a little bit of cushion. So if anything happens, we ain't got to be stressing and running all over the place. The money's there. Okay, let's put it there, put it there. But the more you have put up, of course, just like COVID is one of those times. A lot of people probably didn't have no savings put up. Things happen. Life happens. You know what I'm saying? And I know I was in a tight bind because I definitely had to close the shop, and no money was coming in, but I was trying to find other ways to make the income. But a lot of people, I know I'm not the only one. Let me know if you all can relate down in the comments. Even businesses you seen had to shut down because they probably didn't have that money put to the side for emergencies. But if people had that money put to the side for emergencies, guess what? You could go 2 months, 3 months at least. And I don't think it went that far. I think I had the shop closed for 3 months, and I was able to survive through it. Had a little something put to the side. But if I didn't, guess what? Chance I probably would have had to close the shop down. And you don't want to have to do that with life in general. Like, you don't want to have to break down and stop everything you're doing just because you didn't prepare for the future. And I'm not sure if you guys heard of it, but the Murphy's Law, which means anything can go wrong, will go wrong. So that's life in itself. Like, if something bound to go happen, it's gonna happen. You can't do nothing to stop it. And I mostly hear about that when people get married, weddings, and like important events. They always tell you it's not gonna be a perfect day because anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So the whole purpose is to try to plan, but there's always gonna be some little bells, whistles, a little unscrew. Something can happen because you can't control people at the end of the day, and you can't control life. Serenity prayer is one of them things. Y'all look over it. And I know for sure there are going to be a lot of people that say they don't got the money to save or start an emergency fund of $1,000, $500. Like I said, I'm going to put the link right here so y'all can see what you really need to do. You definitely need to cut back on them expenses. Some of the basic things, that's where the money going at. Automatic subscriptions going out your account. But you don't got automatic payments of savings going to a savings account. That don't make sense. It's better to have that savings fund than to have automated subscriptions coming out your account because it's only costs you money. Assets over liability, and emergency is more of an asset compared to subscriptions, which is a liability because it only costs you money. And it's really an asset when I say high your savings, because if it's going to be gaining interest on that money, now we really got some assets and we are making some money on top of our money. And that's what we want to do. Money on money on money on money, just like that. And that could be your first way of making money while you sleep. You don't got to be in the stock market. It could be in your emergency fund, just gaining interest, because you ain't got to do nothing but put money in to let that money continue to gain interest on top of itself. I want to let y'all know as well, like, when you prepare, you ain't got to worry about those problems. But one thing you probably shouldn't do in an emergency fund if you got high debt. And I would definitely say that debt high, just start knocking that down. Please, this might gonna be enough for another video. But if you got the debt, knock that down first. And then once we out of debt, then we could start building an emergency fund. But not saying debt like a house or a car like that's 28,000 and stuff like that. I'm saying like basic credit cards, like a store credit card, stuff that you don't really need. Definitely knock that down. The reason why I say don't take down like the house and a car credit, because that's going to take years. But the small credit is not going to take that long. Not saying you shouldn't put a little extra towards your car or a little extra towards your house, even if it's $20, $50, because it's going to knock that interest down. Like I said, for $100,000 house and you're gonna pay it in 30 years, chance you're gonna pay $300,000. So put a little extra towards that. So I don't want to get too far off topic here. But the whole purpose of the emergency fund is to stop from running to a credit card. Because I know a lot of people, when you become in a tight bind, you ain't got the money, but you got a credit card, you're gonna swipe your credit card if you can, and it's gonna definitely help out. And that's one reason why I tell people you don't shy away from a credit card. I know what people heard. You could get you in debt and stuff like that, but that's why we prepare mentally and physically and be prepared to not max out. Because the goal is 30% of your card. If your card is $1,000, for example, 30% is more like $300, $350. So do not go over $350. Because if you're going over 350 and now you're at 1,000, that means you spent $1,000 that you don't have. Because if you ain't never pay back the 350, how you expecting to pay back the $1,000? And that's where the mistake comes in. Then you end up in debt, and now you're struggling to come back to pay that away. And no, we don't want that. So that's why I said I need to make that a video in itself as well. Y'all let me know down in the comment what y'all think about that. Make that a video. But 30% of your credit card limit, keep it below that. Easy to pay it off. The goal is to pay it every month. Because if you're not paying it every month, guess what? They're gonna slap you some interest. And with a credit card, that's like pretty much one of the highest interest you could get. Like 28.9, 29.3 APR, annual percentage rate. So y'all know what that APR is. But yeah, you don't want to get locked in like that. But I say it's enough talking for this video. Main thing, let me know if y'all get the whole purpose of the emergency fund and also the starter. Like I say, 500, 1,000. At least it's something better than nothing. That's how I look at it. Something better than nothing. But the goal is to take the 500 to 1,000, and then we move up that 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and before you know it, automated. And before you know it, you got 2 months of expenses. You got 3 months of expenses. Like I said, the whole purpose is, say you spend 2,000 a month. Whole purpose is to have like 1 to 3 months of them expenses sitting there. I mean, sitting. As long as your bills coming in, your job paying the money, you keep on paying it. Let that emergency build up. The high yield savings account, let it get some interest on top. But the whole purpose of, if you lose your job or something crazy happen, like the flat tire, and I didn't plan to spend this kind of money, or a bill you just can't afford, that's when you touch that. But the goal is we're going to try not to touch our emergency fund, and only for emergencies. For example, in New Orleans, we have a lot of little hurricanes. Yeah, and we could definitely use that for hurricanes if you're not prepared for it, even though it's not your monthly expenses. But at the time of a hurricane, and you gotta go, you gotta go. You just will have to kind of slowly work your way back up. But I don't say just stay for something disastrous and not touch your emergency fund, because that's technically part of an emergency. So y'all let me know how y'all been enjoying the videos. I definitely gotta like prepare more. I've been doing YouTube like on the tattooing, but I know mostly talking in the camera is kind of different for me. I try to just go freely, and I think when I go freely, I tend to ramble. And maybe it's good to kind of be repetitive to let y'all know emergency fund, yeah, this, $1,000, $1,000 just to start up, but this is where we want to be at. This is where we want to be at. 3 6 months. You know what I'm saying? It's because it's pounding in your head like, okay, yeah, this would it need to be. But y'all let me know if the rambling is crazy or it's too much. Leave it down some. I would love the feedback, because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to help everyone that could use the help. Use the emergency fund, whatever the finance situation is, so you could be on the next level. The goal is to go from here to up here. And that's basically pretty much how I feel, and that's my purpose in life, you know. I pray on it, and all the things that, come to me is helping others. Like I said, tattoos. I do this, I do that, and I'm always trying to help. I'm always talking to people about the stock market, investing, like insurance. That's one of the things I definitely want to touch on, y'all. So if y'all interested in that insurance topic, we definitely gonna touch on that. And we need to learn more, because I'm always learning. I tell people never stop learning. And the reason why I say never stop learning, because life goes on. If we're gonna keep our knowledge at a cap, so much things around us that we don't know. So don't put yourself in a box. No, outsource. Look around, research. And so many things online that's like accessible to where we have no excuse not to know some things, especially with AI. In these day and age, AI is, it could actually, you could just put in, boom, I don't know what this means. Even though you could go to Google, but AI is faster. So ChatGPT, you put it in there, but boom, I don't know that. Boom. Oh, why is my thumb hurting? It's going to give you signs. It's not a doctor. I'm not saying go straight off AI, but it will give you an idea, and take that idea from AI, go in Google and do more research. That's the whole purpose of AI. Some people tend to rely on it, and I think that's when it get real dangerous. But do the basics in ChatGPT, and then go do your own research. You can even go to TikTok, YouTube videos. You know what I'm saying? Just get more clear knowledge. Same thing with investing. You ain't got to go off what one person saying, because the next person will say something different. It may sound the same, but they both got two different approaches. So do y'all own research. At the end of the day, like I said, it's not financial advice I'm giving y'all. It's my recommendations of what you could do to make your life easier. Like what I'm doing, definitely putting that emergency to the side. So if anything happened, okay, the money is there. Okay, slow on bills, bam, money is there. So it's a cushion. That's all it is. It's for emergencies, which is called, that's why it's called an emergency fund. So I'm gonna see y'all in the next video. This one went a little long because I know I rambled on a little bit, but y'all definitely like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and let me know how y'all would like to learn or something that y'all don't know, and a topic that I should touch on that may help somebody you close to, help a friend, family member, anything like that, and you all could share that video with them if it will help. And I appreciate y'all for coming by. Thank y'all, love y'all, and be safe. See y'all in the next video.